All right, out in the Atlantic, let's talk about what's going on there. We have a disturbance here, and we have a disturbance out here. There's actually one with no clouds here in the middle of the Atlantic. All these are heading west, and no sign of any of these developing. You can see the clear skies, just a lot of dry air in here, cleared out. The dry air has cleared out most of the Atlantic. Now, we're going to talk about this main development region because this is, when we get later in the season, this is the runway where storms build strength as they come west. So if we're going to have a strong storm over here, very often it comes through the main development region, either starts developing out here or it waits till the Caribbean or sometimes the Gulf, whatever. It generally comes through that path. So we look in there. Well, look right now, look how cool the water is on a large part of it. So we're not going to get development here. If we get development out of any system out in that area, it's going to kind of be a low rider and maybe come up like this. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. This is all going to warm up later on in the year, but just not right now. Okay, so we have that, plus the cool water, plus we have dust. This is where the dust is right now. Notice the dust kind of lets up in some places, and it's denser in other places. So the question is, can a disturbance line up with one of those gaps in the dust? Here we are today. Look in the upper left there, and you'll see the date. Now watch as we go forward in time, and what you're going to see is when we get up here to a Monday, now we get a bit of a gap here. So maybe if we have a low riding system, maybe it comes along under the dust just enough or just a little bit of dust, maybe. And then we get forward, go forward in time. We go all the way through next week to Friday, and notice up in here, it's a little bit thin, the dust. So if we get a system on that track, plausibly, it can organize. All right, let's look at the upper level winds. And what we see here is that if we look where the dark blues are and the light blues, that's more conducive. Watch as that goes forward in time. Here, well, again, watching up here on the day. Notice when we get to Wednesday in this area, okay, we got some dark blues, moderately conducive going forward. So up in this area here, when we get to Friday, as you can see, we don't have the reds and so forth, depending on exactly where it is. So moderately conducive upper level winds. All right, what does all that mean when we should look at the computer models? Well, we can actually plot all these possibilities out of the models, and notice we're looking at 4 of them. GFS, ECMWF, that's the European, then the Google AI model, and the European AIFS it's called, but it's the European AI model, and then the different colors, and you see them down here. And hidden under there, you'll see a blue one there. That's the Google model right in there. GFS, you see they're all represented. Now, let's go forward in time. This is Wednesday when the models say, okay, something might be developing. Heading forward, and as we go through the end of next week, you see they tend to want to thin out there, which is an indication that the conditions are not pristine by any means, but they kind of hang in. So this is next Friday, a week from now, so it's after that. Where is this going if something can kind of hang together at that point? So we're going to be looking in, probably after this point, next weekend into the early part of the following week. If a system can survive all the way over to the islands, then it might end up in a more conducive environment. So, we're heading for August, so that'll be next Friday is August 1st. So everything is pretty much on schedule here. I'm not saying anything's going to come of this, but it might, and it's time to start looking in that direction.
That's interesting. I like how you described it, Brian, the lowrider. And it'd have to get a little higher in latitude if it was going to develop into something. We'll see what happens, but to your point, you look at the calendar, and it would be more strange if we weren't looking out at this time scale into the new month and didn't eventually start talking about all these things as slowly that main development region becomes more conducive, getting closer to the heart of the season, and slowly but surely we're moving in that direction. That's Fox Weather's hurricane specialist Bryan Norcross. Bryan, we know you'll be watching each of these model runs coming in and keeping us updated. We'll be checking back with you. Thank you.